Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to show you how to summarize data really quickly in Excel using pivot tables. So go ahead and open up one of your census data tables or one that you've already compiled. In this case I've compiled a lot of information here. And the idea is I want to summarize a lot of this data without having to type a lot of information at the bottom, because I could total, divide by the number of rows, and to get an average, etc., etc. There's a lot of ways you could do this, but one of the easiest things to do is to simply Control A to select everything in here, or you can click this upper gray box here so it selects everything in my table, and you can go to Insert in the top, and then in the left there's this thing called a pivot table. So it'll say select table or range, and so you can see this flashing kind of ants crawling here that it says this is where you have data and what you've selected. So we can, or you could type this in. I always put it in a new worksheet because as you can see there's a lot of information on the screen, and I want to be able to real quickly get to information. So new worksheet, click OK, and it creates this pivot table. Now there's nothing in here at the moment, but if I want to quickly summarize things, all I have to do is come over here to the left and get your pivot table fields, or if it's not there you can double click on your pivot table and this will come up. And if I scroll down, I've been working with population density. Now if I just want a value of everything in that column, all I do is drag that into the values, the lower right, and you can see it counts the number of records. So this should match the number of shapefiles in your ArcMap document, or in your shapefile loaded into ArcMap. But we don't really care about, well, how many records are there. We want other information, either a sum or a total. In our case, I'm working with an average, and so all I have to do is click this drop down arrow here to the right, go to value field settings, and you can choose whichever you want. So you could do the minimum, the maximum, the average, and quite a number of others. You could do standard deviation and different summary descriptive statistics. So in our case I want the mean or the average here, and I'm going to click OK, and it gives me my average. So that's very similar to, I could do that for each one, take that number out and do something like this. So you can see I put all the columns from 1990, 2000, 2010. Let me zoom in here so you can see those here at the top. And then I just created a pivot table out of that information for here and to create this chart. So that's another way to do that. Now that's for number information. Another incredibly useful benefit for this is what about categorical information? So if I go over to a table here I prepared for land use, you can see I have a land use code. Now I could go and look up what they are in the metadata or online for Dane County, type in commercial, residential, high density residential, so it's a bit more intuitive for most people to understand. But you could also do kind of stratified summary. So I could summarize the amount of area of each land use code in a particular municipality within Dane County. So to do that, again, I would just select everything, go to Insert, Pivot Table, again, new sheet. It's got my range with the marching ants. Click OK. Have my pivot table, have my information over here. So I could take my municipality, could be my row. So you can see it's already taken all the unique categorical names. There shouldn't be duplicates unless there's a misspelling somewhere in the data. This is another great way to check that is if you have Town of Cottage Grove with a GROV, and then right below it you have a GROVE, then you know you need to go back and clean some of your data. So then after that, I can take my land use code into column, and so here's all my unique land use codes. And then I could take my shape area and drop it into values. Now it's going to count that, and I don't want that. In this case, I go to my value field settings, and I want a sum, and I click OK. So here then I can compare the different sums of each land use type. And in the case of the data that I've given my students, we have Dane County land use data also across 3 decades. So you can compare not only the population changes or population density changes over time, you can also look at the land use category area changes over time. And that's how you create and use pivot tables. Thanks.